And we're going to do what's called finding percent by mass of elements in a compound. So it's finding percent by mass. Really easy concept. You'll get done with the problems before you go today, I bet. Yeah, you will, because the other class did, and they had about 5 minutes to spare. So finding percent by mass. Okay? What that is we're going to look at weights of every single element, and then we're going to find the percentage of it. So this is the one we're going to do and practice on. I'm only going to practice one, and then I'll give you a couple to do, and you should be able to get it done before you go. So every element in there contributes to the overall mass or molar mass of that compound. And so what we'll do is we'll just break it down into all of our different elements and what their weights are compared to the total. So we're going to do iron, we're going to do chlorine, of course, and we do oxygen. So this should look really familiar. There's one iron, and there's 2 chlorines, and there's 8 oxygens. So then we just go ahead and multiply it by their molar weights. Okay, each one separately. So iron is 55.85 grams per mole. You get 55.85 grams. We do 2 chlorines. Chlorine's 35.45. And that's 70.9. And then we got 8 oxygens times 16. Okay, so that would be 128. Then we add them all up. Okay, that's all we're going to do. We're just going to add them all up. Okay, now once you do that, you've got all your work, and it's pretty easy now to work with that. So now we're going to find percent by mass. And I got a lot of paper out there to deal with. Okay, so now what we're going to do, each one of those separately, we're going to find the percentage of them in the total. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take 55.85 grams of iron and divide by the total, 254.75 grams, times 100. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and get a percentage on that. So we're going to do every single one. Now sometimes you'll have problems what will ask you just for one of the 3. It won't have you do each and every one. I'm going to have you do each and every one. And then in the future, you probably won't have to do that to prove to me that you know how to find percent mass. So the first one we got around 20%, a little over 20% iron. Okay, or a fifth of the weight is iron. You will find out oxygen will be a big percentage of weight in a lot of these examples, okay, that we're going to do. When you're done with all the percentages, they should add up to 100%. So we're going to do the same for chlorine. Kind of running out of room, so I'm just going to do these at different places. So we got 70.9 grams of chlorine divided by 254.75 times 100. And then so for chlorine we get 27.8%. Okay, and then the last one, we got a lot of oxygen, 128 grams of it. divided by 254.75 times 100, and that'll get us our last one. And that's 50.2%. If we add them all up, okay, I think we're a little off on this. I think it's 99.9%. But sometimes that's due to rounding. So that will happen from time to time because of maybe rounding down a couple instead of rounding up at some point. Yeah, and that was 99.9. So that's fine. That's okay. We can be off by a tenth. So those will be our percentages for each one of those that we'd have. So 21.9% iron, 27.8% chlorine, 50.2% oxygen. Questions on that? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just, go ahead.
Once we get the percent, we just add all of them?
You don't have to. I do it just to make sure that it adds up to 100%.
Okay.
Because if I make a mistake and I do one of them wrong, and this one I have like 17.8%, and I go and I add them up and I go, wait a second, that adds up to 90%. That's not right. I must have did one of them wrong. So then you go back and look at your work. You know, sometimes students, instead of taking 70.9 on this, they'll take 35.45 on the chlorine, and they'll come up with maybe 13.8. And then when they go to add them all up, they go, wait a second, I used the 35.45 instead of the total. So it's just a way for you to double check.
Okay.
Okay, it's not a bad thing. You can just plug them in real quick and see. Good checks and balances on that. All right? So I'm going to give you, since this is, I'm taping this for people that are gone, I'm going to go ahead and write the actual formulas on here. But in your book, the ones I'm going to do is on page 207. So I'm going to have you do page 207. I'm going to have you do 40D and 42E. Those are a little bit tougher in counting, and they've got more elements involved, which is okay because I'm only giving you a couple to do. Okay, so 40D, the formula is Ca3 PO4 3. Okay, so you'll find the percent by mass of that one. And the next one is sulfodiazine, which is antibacterial cream. So when you guys put that antibacterial cream on here, here's the formula. C10H10 N4O2 S. So those are the two I'd like you to find percentages of. So on the first one, you'll find percentage of calcium, phosphorus, and oxygen. And on the second one, there's 5 of them you'll have percentages of. And when you add them all up, that should add up to 100%. So again, next week when you guys come in, I'll check these over, look at them like I did today. Those who had the assignment done, really pretty good. You know, there was only probably a couple that I, was like, I'm not sure what you're doing on a certain set and that. So most of you are really good on that. Continue with that. If you haven't got your assignment in from the other one where you had to do 4, 6, 8, 22, and 26, you need to do that. Get that in today or else I won't be able to count it for a grade. So make sure you get that done. And then we'll do a lab next week, next Thursday. And then that's the end of the quarter next Thursday. Plus we'll have a quiz over some of the stuff that we did this week on Wednesday.